Guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm a little intimidated, I'm not gonna lie. You're all kind of legends and pretty incredible. It's an amazing supergroup, for lack of a better word, that you've put together. Let's start, though, with that video, directed by Michael Moore. I know he directed a Rage video back in the day when you guys stormed the stock exchange, right? Yep. What brought him to this? Did you ask him to do it? And what were you trying to get at with that video?
Yeah, well, Michael's been a friend for a long time, and he's been he's a fan of music. He's a fan of members of Rage Against the Machine and Audioslave, a fan of Public Enemy, and a fan of Cypress Hill. So it was a pretty easy ask. And also, he was actually in the middle of another project, but he dropped everything with Timmy's insistence, his strong-armed insistence that Michael do the video.
Yeah, to credit Timmy C, you know, he was like, we need to call Michael for this video, and he was very persistent, did not drop the ball at all. Thank you, Tim, for that.
You're welcome. And it was important for us to have like a mission statement to come out with. Yeah.
Tim, what did your persistence look like when it came to getting Michael to do the video?
I mean, just a lot. I was unafraid to text and call and, email and Tim. Whatever it took. And if he didn't get back to me, I just continued to I know you're busy, but you gotta do this.
Like sort of an ex-girlfriend intensity.
Tim, give him the stare that you would give him.
Whoa.
Gotta call.
Do you guys, I'm not a music video director, but I'm ready to jump in and do one for you now. Let's go.
Timmy C is just the relentless, intense spiritual leader of Prophets of Rage.
Oh, man.
Is that true? How does that come out in the studio and in the live shows and when you guys are getting things together? How does that intense spiritual leadership come about?
I mean, I don't look at it that way, but
you seem like a really chill dude right now.
I am pretty chill, and you know, until things start going a way that I don't like, and then there's problems.
He's chill and intense. He's chill tense.
He said until things don't go the right way, the world is fucked, and unfuck the world is pretty much what keeps him like. And once he does this, you better be ready for it.
You know, I gotta agree with Chuck though, you know, because he is that energy, like, you know, he'll call something out immediately and have ideas for stuff. You know, Chuck and I are the lyricists and all that stuff, but, you know, Tim and Tom also, you know, put some ideas down that were very important to what we're doing. And I gotta say, this guy's, you know, he's on us. You know, unafraid to tell us, and that's the cool thing about this is that we all put the ego aside and we work together as a team. And you know, just this guy's willingness to fight that good fight and not care what people think. You know, that's inspirational. So you know,
right on. Thanks. I do know this though, that those insecurities, those are cancerous, and like. It's so easy to let that get in the way of the creative process. And so it's neat to be able to be in a situation where, and it was hard for me to say like, hey man, I'm maybe not that crazy about this or that, you know, but at the end of the day, it was reciprocated and we all just spoke up and we're in this awesome, like ego-free creative situation. It's great.
Did you guys feel, I mean, you guys initially formed right during the campaign, the Trump campaign, I mean, the presidential campaign overall, Trump just being the sort of greatest symbol of our destructive system. Did you guys feel like you were coming together for a greater purpose, or was that just something that initially, you know, it reignited a lot of?
No, it was very explicitly for a particular purpose. I remember seeing on the news there was a headline that said Donald Trump rages against the machine. I said, oh hell no, you're not the decider of that.
Who wrote that headline?
And it really wasn't enough to tweet about or Instagram about or hashtag about. And so we have these kind of formidable catalogs of the Rage, the Audioslave, the Public Enemy, the Cypress Hill. And then we found we had a great time on the Make America Rage Again tour, and it was a band that played with unity and played with purpose and had a great chemistry. And then we translated that into the studio. You know, when the band began, it was just like, we just have to play now in front of as many people as possible. We have to be a megaphone during these times and provide a countervailing point of view than those that are being shoved down our throats by politicians, by corporations. But then we found we really love rocking. And so we went in the studio and we wrote about 10 songs in the first 2 weeks. Wow. We made this record with super producer Brendan O'Brien, who's worked on some of our favorite, Rage, Audioslave, Springsteen, Aerosmith, Stone Temple Pilots records, of some of the best rock records. And one of the unique things about this record is we made it the way that these days I call it laptop rock. Is people make records, they share files, they email things, they sort of compose by putting the blue line with the green line, and then a song comes out. We're musicians in a room looking at each other, capturing a performance on tape. And that is why this record, in my view, stands shoulder to shoulder with some of the best work that we've done.
Absolutely. And you said you recorded most of these songs in 2 weeks?
No, we wrote the song. We wrote the bones of the songs in about 2 weeks, then recorded them over the course of a month in the studio, Henson Studios in Los Angeles. And the record comes out September 15th.
And it's an amazing record. I've been listening to it all week since they gave me an early copy, guys. And it's fantastic.
The perks.
Yeah, those are the perks of this job. I'm curious what you think. Do you think it's a misunderstanding when it comes to Prophets of Rage, when people think that this is just about Trump or just about Republicans, or that you guys are just sort of raging against a right-wing system? I mean, you've been doing this since the Reagan administration, during the Clinton administration, and during Bush and Obama.
Yeah, but make no mistake, Trump is horrible. Republicans are horrible. The system which produced them is horrible. But often Democrats are horrible. And there are fundamental injustices woven into the system before Trump was president, during Trump, and afterwards. That's the bad news. The good news is that before, during, and in the future, there will be resistance to those injustices. And that resistance requires a soundtrack. And this record is our audition to be the soundtrack for the resistance.
Chuck, do you feel... Do you feel like you've been a soundtrack to the resistance since the early days of Public Enemy? Was that how you initially founded Public Enemy?
Well, it's good being back in Tower Records again.
Sir, welcome back. I am the ghost of Tower Records.
This building used to be Tower Records, for those of you who know.
It's the stomping grounds. Def Jam is around the corner, and the Green Street Studios is over there. And in those beginnings, we were stuck smack dab in the middle of R&B. That's Reagan and Bush. So... That was really low-hanging problematic fruit to delve into and speak to the undervoiced of our time. But here we are in 2017, and the stench of what was then is still around now with a lot of new faces, like that kid that ran over those people in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old. He was born in 1996. New people have come in and old people have passed on. So when people ask the question, have we changed? You have to kind of be clear about who's we. You have to get rid of the stench of what's been institutionalized and also just what's been accepted as, just life as it moves along. We have to kind of always be in defense and on attack of the BS that lingers around and sticks into society as being a norm. And we didn't need the world to be a disaster to come up with 12 songs. We would have found the 12 songs, and we know being a great band at delivering what's probably not on the radar is something that we would have accomplished anyway. It's just that now we agree that things are so bad, we want to kind of encourage other musicians to be fearless and come up with something too. We're totally secure in our voice and our thinking that we're going to do what we do, we're going to say what we say, we're going to play what we play, but we encourage other situations. Come on. And try to burn the stage if you can, or if you can find the ashes that were left after we get off of it.
There was a period of time, I think, during the Bush administration where for a lot of artists, it seemed like it would be corny or cliche to record protest songs, that sort of era had been done and it doesn't necessarily take effect. Do you think that era is over and it's all hands on deck, and if you can write a protest song, get your ass in gear and do it?
I think as an artist, you have one and only one responsibility, and that's to be true to yourself. And if you have convictions about the state of the world and you censor them from your art because of, you're afraid of commercial demise, then there's an extra hot place in hell for you. I mean, if you don't have any convictions, then by all means write songs about what you want to write about. But I don't think that we should just talk about it in the world of music. I don't think you should leave your convictions behind, no matter what your vocation is, whether you host a show or whether you're a student or whether you're a carpenter. That how change happens in the world is average, everyday, ordinary people stand up against injustice where they work, where they go to school, where they live, in their country, in their place, and in their time.
And, sorry to cut you off, Chuck. And I think a lot of artists, throughout, maybe the last 10, 15 years, have stepped away from putting out any sort of conscious type of music because, let's, be realistic about it. The industry has pretty much shunned it. It's not marketable. They don't make money off of it. And they want to dumb music down so that you have a bunch of mindless, music out there that doesn't provoke thought, emotion, inspiration at all, And so when you look at it like that, what does an artist, how does he get inspired to make this kind of music with all that on your back, knowing that you're probably not going to get a shot at being successful at all because of your message? So, that's been the problem. But now that people are more awakened and you have the internet out there, I think you're going to see a lot of new artists as well as artists that are considered veterans, catching a spark from stuff like this and speaking out and maybe cutting out the middleman in the industry and saying what they want to say. It just takes a few sparks to break through to start that fire, and we are that spark.
I was going to say dangerous times demand dangerous songs, and bad presidents make for great music. So the formula's there. It's an ocean of gasoline waiting for a match. And like I said, we're auditioning to be this record for us is our cultural contribution to the counteroffensive.
There's an image in the Unfuck the World video of the young girl at the protest in Ferguson in front of the militarized police, and you juxtapose that immediately with the Kardashian commercial where they sort of played that up and handed the Pepsi. And it's a phenomenal symbol of how the system absorbs the resistance and consumes it and sort of like grinds it out in the meat grinder for us to consume rather than sort of take in and spiritually lift ourselves up with. And I wonder if you fear that being a protest band, that can also happen to you as well, that the system can consume your message and your idea and feed it back in a way that doesn't sort of spiritually lift people up the way that you're trying to.
Yeah, well, in the instance that you're talking about, then the Pepsi and the Kardashians were shamed across the globe for the idiocy of that. So
the greatest example of the system at work.
No, but they were definitely trying to co-opt a vibe, like resistance light or I resistance, here's the thing: it's like that's always going to be one element of it. You can't worry about that. You just have to play the music you believe in, say the things you believe in, and for us, we bring the message to the mosh pit each and every show.
Absolutely. When you guys first got together, first played that show, what did that feel like? What did it feel like when you guys first played a show together?
Well, I think we're really excited that we were in a room together creating this music, and there was this chemistry that was beginning to unfold. So by the time we hit the stage, we were lit to pop.
Yep.
And it was the Whiskey was our first
small show, the Whiskey.
And it was an unveiling for us, I think.
Besides Lord falling off the stage.
Oh, come on, man.
That's right. It was an unveiling for us as a unit of like, oh shit, this means something, and it's going to mean something to other people as well.
What happened, Lord?
Small stage.
It was a little small stage. We were all pumped. I was extra pumped. And I was doing a turntablism move, spinning. I spun out of control like the Tasmanian devil. And spun up into the curtains. No one saw me but Chuck. That's the bullshit. That's the BS part about it. So now he's like, I saw you fall at that shooting. I was like, you didn't see nothing.
It's curtains for you.
Curtains. But
this band is off to a hot start.
Right.
Where's the DJ?
Spun up in the curtains. But we knew what we had, but we were. It's like a kettle pot blowing or something, and we were ready to slay the entire crowd and see what people have to say, because they're gonna give you hell regardless. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. And we're like, you know what? We're not.
A lot of expectations having Audio Slave, Cypress Hill, Public Enemy, Rage Against the Machine members on stage. So a lot of expectation for an audience.
There was a lot of expectation, and for me, it was like a degree of satisfaction, because I know where it started. We started with no electricity, man. It was acoustic. And of course, I was just humming my part because no electricity. I'm sitting there like, yo. So, but I knew where we started, and I just wanted to reveal it.
And Tom is the Michael Jordan / Phil Jackson of rehearsals.
And set lists.
And set lists. So
He never doesn't show up. He's always there on time.
No. If you know anything about Michael Jordan in practice, they said Michael Jordan in practice was so relentless and so intense, the games were so easy. There was no way the Bulls were going to lose because the practices were like, and our rehearsals or the show, by the time we get to the
must agree.
performances.
I agree.
I'll tell you, when we played that first show, I was nervous until I heard Brad count to 4 on the sticks. Tuck, tuck, tuck. And, the nervousness went away, and we just started rocking, and the crowd they gave us as much energy as we were giving them, and that's always an amazing thing to see. Because, frankly, they hadn't heard Rage Against the Machine music in a long time, and then they hadn't heard a mixture of all 3 of our band's catalog, melded the way Commandante Morello over here put it together, and it was just an amazing feeling, man.
And that's one thing that I really love about the album is that if you're a fan of all of your groups, you can hear lyrically and musically all of you guys intertwining them. Like you can hear you at one point in a song saying "Rally Round the Family," which is a Rage lyric. You can hear all these different things: Public Enemy lyrics, Rage lyrics, Cypress Hill lyrics. Can you talk about sort of being okay with doing that and using each other's work?
Well, it's not easy, nor is it meant to be easy. These are very difficult, challenging songs to record and also to come off and play them live, which is 2 different sciences in itself. So, getting the blessings also, myself and Be Real with great Zach De La Rocha, and also being able to look at these songs and a different approach, because nobody's going to sound like Zach at 26, a dude that sounds like he got a knife turning in him. But what myself and this man right here, Be Real, bring as vocalists is an area of this man's charisma, his abilities, his frontmanship, his skill as a 26-year veteran MC allowed me to be microphone number 2 to Dwayne Wade to his LeBron, to take on these lyrics with commitment, practice, power, speed, precision, and the ability to know trade-offs. And that was key to also dig into the psyche and the dynamic of what these songs are truly about, but put the new spin on them, and you gotta be relentless. You cannot take on these songs in recording or in performance kind of with a step back. You gotta attack it. And you can't take any prisoners. And when it comes down to critics, at first we had to like totally just like flip them, because why give a hater or a critic a crown? We were out to smash that thought. And when we finish any performance, whether it be the many stadiums we played, because we played in front of 2.5 million people
Before our first record came.
before our first record.
What stadium was that?
And it
That's
smashed
wild.
stadiums.
Not one show, but over the course of the last.
Yeah, stadiums, plural.
Oh, you played in front of a small country. That's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah, so it was about, taking it on and smashing it, smashing any perceptions to give it a platform for 2018, 2019, 2020. And the mantra is that the world is not going to fix itself, and garbage will not walk to the trash can by itself. It has to be convinced that, we can change it. And if you talk about changing the world, if you can't even change your own damn mind, then how are you going to change anything else? And we're about making that commitment for this musical, cultural, and then social change.
I think one of the things people might take for granted in just having you guys on stage is this is actually the history of great rap rock, being wonderful. I mean, you start with Public Enemy and Anthrax, right? Or was it Biohazard? Excuse me.
Anthrax.
Yeah, with Bring the Noise. And Cypress Hill did a rap rock track on the Judgment Night soundtrack, which is possibly the sort of greatest rap rock soundtrack that there is. And then Rage Against the Machine really defined it in the 90s. And then there's a series of bands that were influenced by a lot of this that really are not up to par with all of you guys. But what is it like to sort of carry that legacy. Chuck, I'll start with you because you were really one of the first bands to do it outside of maybe Run DMC and Aerosmith just before that.
Well, just in this building, it's Scott Ian's idea. And
In this building?
Well, pretty much in this general area, Anthrax, their headquarters, we shared the same management for a minute, Biohazard and all that. So it was Charlie Benante and Scott Ian's idea that Bring the Noise could have a second life. Okay, we did that. That was after Run DMC and Aerosmith, but actually in reverse, where rockers covered a rap record. So that really set a different precedence. It wasn't like Run DMC covering a rock record. So these things were accomplished and done, and it was okay. The doors and the portals were open. But then from that point on, it's not an easy thing to accomplish, and it opened the doors for cats to take this on even more vigorously, such as Cypress and their first record. And then also Tom Morello and Brad Wilk and Timmy C and Zach with the Rage Against the Machine record, which kind of took everything and thrust it into another orbit where you could not disrespect that combination of sight, sound, story, and style.
Can you talk about that first record, you guys? I don't want to bring you too far back now, but since we're on this history trip, where the initial ideas come from, sort of combining those energies?
Comes from right here and right here. These two guys.
Microphone.
These two guys were the most direct influence from the hip hop side of things on Rage Against the Machine. And like when Zach and I were driving up to Hollywood from Orange County, where we lived, and we were going to rehearse with Tom and Brad, we were listening to the first Cypress record and Takes a Nation of Millions and Fear of a Black Planet. And honestly, there would have been no Rage Against the Machine if it weren't for these two guys. That's the truth.
Absolutely. Let's get some questions from the audience. Right here.
Hey, Tom. I remember your original statement on Chris Cornell a few months back, and especially now with Chester Bennington's passing, and how you feel a few months down the line, as well as a musician on the idea of unreleased music, since it's a kind of a gray area since they can never give their blessing, but I don't know if there's audio slave demo tapes or whatever it may be.
Well, I mean, Chris's loss, I didn't know Chester as well, but Chris's loss was devastating for us as friends and his musical comrades and for fans of music. I mean, Chris was the greatest voice of his generation, a tremendous songwriter, singer, guitar player, and bandmate. I'm just feel blessed that we got to, after a 12-year break, Audioslave did get to play one last show with Prophets of Rage in
At the inauguration,
at
right?
the anti-inaugural ball in January. So it was wonderful to one last time stand on stage with his rock god self and hear the mighty wail and the beautiful melodies coming out of that guy. And in our shows we play an instrumental version of the Audioslave song "Like a Stone," and the crowd sings the lyrics back, and it's a way to both publicly mourn and celebrate Chris and his eternal legacy at each one of our shows.
Next question.
Hey guys, I was a huge Rage Against the Machine fan, and the new songs sound a lot like Rage. I was wondering, are you guys going to be doing any covers of Rage during your tour, and are you planning to play any?
We rock all that shit, baby. We got. We rageify the Public Enemy, we rageify the Cypress Hill, and we
Rage the Rage.
And we rage the Rage, and the Prophets of Rage stuff too. It's like it is a great joy to write a set list for this band because there are so many jams to choose from, and it's pretty exciting.
It's a gumbo of rage.
And you guys have, between Public Enemy and Cypress and Rage, you guys have all of these songs that when you go back and listen to them or listen to them and see the music videos, it is mind-blowing that these things came out at that time. And the way that I remember the way that they shaped me. I remember the way Fight the Power shaped me when I first saw it and saw it Do the Right Thing. And when I was in 5th grade and had the first Rage album and was blasting it and didn't even know I was feeding like a political mind for the future. And then I found Cypress Hill when I started smoking weed and it blew my mind. It's like all of these things that totally changed my perspective over the course of growing up. And when I go back and listen to it, it still has an effect and a power. It's not like, oh, I just listened to it then. Yeah. It still feels sort of of like completely ahead of its time in my
Well, a lot of those songs, the Rage songs, which were written during the Bill Clinton era, are much more were prescient in a way, and they seem more relevant in 2017 than the day they were written. And that's one of the reasons why we formed this band. Is like we've got this, like we were brought out the big guns for Prophets of Rage, as far as MCs, as far as our past work, and then the great blessing of it was we found that we also had a chemistry to move forward. This is the beginning of Prophets of Rage. This is our first record. It's just about to come out, September 15th, and there'll be many more records, and there'll be many more tours. There's a lot of work that is yet undone, both on the stage and in the streets.
When was the moment that you guys realized that there's more than one record, there's more of the tour, that you got, this is good, and this is a band that's gonna stick?
I think when we first started playing together, there was a certain energy and chemistry that we had. And pretty much in the middle of that tour, we were like, hey, we need to take this into the studio and, see if this chemistry is, translates to recording. Before we did that, we did much like we did rehearsals. We did it all in secret. We went and got into a rehearsal spot and just, started, putting ideas together musically and then conceptually, and then the word, the lyrics and the content and all that stuff, and it just sort of came together organically. And we realized in that moment that the chemistry translated to recording as well. And it was a great feeling to know that, because it was a gamble for us to get together. Like we all would say in the beginning, it looked great on paper, but we didn't know until we got on stage and see what happens. Like how we actually get up there and knock it down as a unit. And it was very much the same way with the recording process. And, fortunately for us, that chemistry did translate, and we thought, this is not just a one-off. This is not a tribute band. This isn't a band for these elections. This is a band that there's no expiration date on.
Was there something about, and this is like I said, all of you guys are legends, so you have to have in some capacity like a bit of an ego about your music and how you write, but did you find that the chemistry between you guys when you started playing stripped away at some of that and kind of just sort of humbled you and brought you into the music for each other?
In writing the record, it was, for my point of view, it was the most collaborative, open, funnest band, songwriting experience since the first Rage record. It was great. It was really great.
Yeah, the creative process just flowed. There was no roadblocks. There was nothing. We were very much open to each other. As we said earlier on, we were all there, in the studio for each other's parts in our sessions, all looking at each other, throwing suggestions at each other. And it was a unique situation, especially when you think about how music is created today. And, we sort of took it back old school. And, I am thankful and I feel blessed, to be in this situation with these brothers here, that we all saw the same thing and we were all on the same page, and, we were able to do what we thought we could do.
Also, it was a pleasure seeing just the mix of the traditional with what is the future or the present. Brendan O'Brien, and DJ Lord, figuring out how turntablism as another additional instrument could figure in our recording process. And that was something, seeing those two in a communicative box, making something happen and being additive to what we do.
Well, it's so interesting because, Tom, your guitar playing so often has been compared to turntable sounds. So mixing those, an actual turntable, and you sort of being able to sort of recreate those sounds a little bit on your guitar is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, well, in Rage Against the Machine, I was the DJ, and now we have a DJ, so we have a DJ, so we have a DJ battle, both in the show and on record, which is pretty awesome, where we kind of go back and forth and go at it.
Yeah, that song is called "Hail to the Chief," and if people should come out to see us play, they're going to see this battle and be blown the fuck away.
Speaking of which, you guys are on tour right now, right? We got to close this out, so let's tell people you're on tour. Many cities across the country, right?
Sure, it's a tour around the release of the record, East Coast, some festival shows. Then we're headed back to Europe in November, and then World Domination in 2018.
World Domination, and the album comes out next week, right?
That's right, September 15th, this Friday.
Prophets of Rage. The video is called Unfuck the World. It's on YouTube right now, and the album comes out next week. Prophets of Rage, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.